Another short clip with Lawrence O'Donnell. Senator Whitehouse and Lawrence criticize clownish and chaotic Trump cabinet. Let's listen to the short clip. Plays for 6.5 minutes.
Senator, let me begin with your former prosecutor's role here, and what you see in this. This point, is it possible to commit a war crime if there isn't a war? What do we call it when there isn't a war?
I guess the common word would be murder.
Is that what you see here?
I don't know enough about the circumstances to, make a final legal determination. But for Pete's sake, you've got people whose boat has been blown up. Whatever they were doing has now ended in an explosion on the water, and you now have 2 survivors in the water. Even when you are at war, a decent nation goes and rescues the survivors and then treats them as prisoners of war, even in a war situation. In this case, to make a Hollywood reference, when the bad guys are machine gunning the survivors in the water, it's not Americans in the movies. It's the bad guys. And we are on the wrong side of this if we're blowing up survivors in the water rather than trying to send rescue.
Yeah, the people have been referring today to the World War II case, Heinz Wilhelm Eck, a German U-boat commander, who got the death penalty for this at the end of World War II because he did that. He was killing survivors in the water. It's apparently literally the textbook example of the kind of illegal order to refuse.
Yeah, and I suspect, I haven't looked into this, but I suspect that that's actually part of the training that people get in the military, and particularly once you get up the chain of command to officer level and you get more scrutiny and you're responsible for more decisions, that it wouldn't surprise me if people in that chain of command had been taught the lesson of that Nazi U-boat commander's decision and the consequences that he paid.
And we have zero evidence that anyone at the Defense Department had any idea where any of these boats were actually going, some of them more than 1,500 miles away from the United States, well over 1,000, but this one was well over 1,000 miles away from the United States. And they are suggesting that these tiny boats, smallest boats ever attacked by the American military in history, that these were somehow a threat to the United States.
Yeah, and if you put it in context with the conviction of Mr. Hernandez for taking bribes from and facilitating drug traffickers, the case of that he was convicted in was responsible for more than 500 tons of cocaine coming into the United States. I don't know how many of those little boats it would take to transit 500 tons, even if they were going to the U.S. And obviously nobody's in favor of drugs going to the U.S., but we have law enforcement to protect against that. And it certainly goes from bad to worse when you're doing the modern day equivalent of machine gunning the survivors in the water.
The other kind of inside reporting we're getting is from the Justice Department and the FBI about the chaos caused by Donald Trump's FBI director. Again, like the Defense Secretary, the most incompetent, unqualified FBI director in history, and the people inside there are telling us the story now in press accounts in the way we are also learning about Pete Hegseth.
Yeah, it's pretty stunning stuff over at the FBI right now. I mean, while the Department of Justice is trying to prosecute Jim Comey for lying to Congress as the director of the FBI, which is a whole separate screw-up on their part, here they have this guy, Patel, the FBI director, who appears to be lying to Congress about his grand jury testimony, setting aside the fact that his grand jury testimony was given under immunity because he had asserted his Fifth Amendment rights against self-incrimination, which requires a good faith belief that he could be prosecuted for a crime. This is our current FBI director. That's who they're talking about. And now you pile onto this all of the ridiculous jet travel and then the vindictive punishment of the guy who ran the unit that's responsible for the jet because he didn't hide well enough where the jet's tail number had registered as Kash Patel flew his girlfriend around the country in the FBI jet. It's just one crazy thing after another. Perhaps the telling story in all of that was about Patel refusing to get off the FBI jet because he'd forgotten his FBI raid jacket. And he wanted to cosplay with Kristi Noem and all the rest of them who like playing dress up in these responsible positions. So somebody had to go and scramble and try to find a medium-sized FBI jacket so that he could come off the plane looking all FBI. And then it didn't have the right patches on it. So then I'd go do a second search for patches to put on his FBI jacket. And then finally he could come down off the FBI jet and, present himself to the FBI agents who were doing real work on real cases, trying to really protect America. And when you're doing that kind of work and you see that kind of clownish behavior out of your FBI director, it's hard not to be angry and very disappointed.
Senator Sheldon Whitehouse, thank you very much for starting off our discussions tonight.
Yeah, it's not funny, though. I'll attach the link. Look at it. And pass it along. And thanks for listening.